So I'm walking to get my spot on the run row course. And I was like, what is all this orange stuff? Are those fish hats? And I'm like, who is that? Nobody knew about it, not even the family. Her dad bought these and surprised everybody. I guess Haley Adams in the crowd was like, who is that? And she's like, it's my family.
So when I bumped into them, I walked up to her dad. I was like, yo, where'd you get those? And he looked at me dead in the eyes and just goes, got them right before the tariffs hit. All right, so I have not seen you guys all weekend. How y'all been?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Where were you?
I saw him once in the stands.
Yeah. I saw you once at the run row workout, and then I didn't see you at all.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because normally I bump into y'all. Didn't see you all weekend, but that's going to make for interesting convo, I think, because I honestly have no idea anything y'all have thought or went through.
Yeah.
I feel like the three of us spent most of our time
Can I take this off?
in the secondary athlete warm-up area in the basement. That feels like the majority of my weekend was spent in the basement of the Coliseum.
Well, you had to go back and forth, like, for guys and girls. So I feel like most of mine was in the, like, vendor village athlete area up top.
Yeah.
How about that walk from the venues and the food smell coming out so aggressively?
Did you go
That was
up?
my least favorite thing.
Did you go up to the first warm-up area, that building?
The Albany
the
ACC.
Yeah, so
building?
that's where my media room was.
Oh, okay. Man, I didn't see you up there either.
Well, yeah, basically where the elevator is, there's like a little press room, but yeah.
Yeah, so for people watching, the athlete had two warm-up areas, and the first one was like in a separate building where the vendor village was, and they got to warm up, and then all the athletes got walked down around the back side of the building, and as you were walking, you walked by these like greasy kitchen vent fans that were putting out like hot dog grease smell.
It was hot dog and pizza smell, and it was alternate. The first one was hot dog smell, and the second one was always pizza smell.
One time it was like fried cheese, and I like came back and I was like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Annika said, oh, this smell is making me gag. And then she said that, and then I was like, whoa. I couldn't breathe through my nose. Like she inceptioned the nausea in my brain from it.
I'm sure everyone has worked out and like someone has food over to the side. And for some reason, when you're exercising and there's food smell around you, it makes you so nauseous. And they're all like nervous system is at heightened, like maximal sensitivity, and then they're warmed up and exercise. I'm about to go do more warm up and exercise, and then just inhale.
I got it one time. It was like barbecue or something.
One day though, it was pizza and it smelled good, but I don't think it was coming out of the vent fans.
No,
I
that
think
was
it was
further
coming
down.
from down the road.
I had pizza from that place.
Oh, it's good
because it smelled so good.
yeah, they gotcha. Yeah.
So where do we start? Where do y'all want to start on this thing?
Man, I haven't even processed all my thoughts yet. Like I was thinking about each workout. I was thinking about the pegboard controversy. I don't know. Yeah. Where do you want to start, Chris? Produce us.
Let's maybe start backwards. Normally we give all of our yapping and then we kind of rate the games, whatever. Let's just big picture. What's your thoughts on the 2025 CrossFit Games without going into detail? And then we can go into detail.
Rating plus context?
Just
Just
rating and a little context.
Okay. And experience or programming or both?
Let's do programming and then experience.
I don't want to go first. I want to put the pressure on Perrin.
Have you thought about
this? I've thought about this. I actually talked to Toby for a really long time afterward about the programming, and I think here's my high level overview. I think generally the programming was pretty good this year. I liked that the tests weren't particularly gimmicky, and almost all of them seemed very balanced. Like, in most of the tests, there wasn't one element that, like, if you just crushed this thing, call it the handstand push-ups as an example. If you just crushed the handstand push-ups, you didn't just win the workout. Like, there were elements all through every single workout where it seemed like they had really thought about the balance of the tests. And I feel like, at least from my perspective, that might be the first time that I've really ever seen them do that. One of the things I felt like was missing were like the field tests, the things that make the CrossFit Games the games, like the bikes, the pig, the sled, and those types of things that, or like, the snail. I really thought that since it was indoor and they had the ability to do that, we'd see some of those elements, some of those really unique elements. But overall, I felt like the tests in general were pretty balanced. And at the end of the weekend, I do think it was probably a good, 10 set test of fitness.
Where would you rank that number wise?
Like out of all the CrossFit Games ever?
No. Just like out of 10.
Out of 10?
Yeah. Like if you had to give it a ranking for yourself.
I'd say a 7.5 or 8. Could be better, not terrible.
What would you do?
I'd probably give it an 8. I mean, given the context of the facility and the limitations, I agree with all your points. I think it was missing a little bit of that surprise element. Like they had the twist with the deadlift, handstand, walk, run workout, which I watched Castro's Week in Review, and he said, I'm paraphrasing here, but I think he asked people from the proven camp to test it and asked what their times were. So he kind of understood where some of the elite athletes were, because obviously the testing body is different for who's doing it with him. And he realized it was going to be shorter than what he wanted it to be. And so he extended the time domain and made it a longer endurance test, which I completely agree with. I actually think originally it was missing another a longer workout. So, but like they didn't have the surprise aspects. It didn't feel, because they announced so many events ahead of time, and even the final was announced at the briefing the night before, which he said has never been done. That being said, I think there are benefits to that, where you have a lot of clarity around the events. There's no misunderstandings, and people have opportunity to ask questions. So the other element of that is like maybe better performances and less errors. But I will say I thought there were going to be more twists and surprises.
One other thing to kind of, just piggyback off that, because they were announcing the final events the night before at the brief, everybody had an opportunity to create plans and kind of understand the event. And I think that contributed to the fact that I don't think there was anybody that pulled out this year. I think this might be the first CrossFit Games, and I'm sure someone's going to come back and be like, in the 2012 CrossFit Games. But I don't think there's ever been a CrossFit Games where nobody pulled out because of an injury. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, but I think also like it's 10 tests versus 12 to 15. And I'm torn, because I understand like why. Like there's limitations in the building structure, in the economic side of it, in the context of what happened last year. And like I feel like there was definitely much less risk taking. Even like the load selection, like that pegboard workout for me, and there's probably some bias to it because Annika's really good at barbell stuff, but it was just really apparent. I'm like, oh, these percentages are off. Like it's 100% to 62% of the loading for guys to girls. It's normally 70%. And then it kind of became an irrelevant part of the workout. So I looked at some of the tests thinking like, well, that barbell didn't necessarily like weigh out the pegboard. I think you could have just done 10 pegboards for time. But I also am like, well, they probably were trying to just be a little bit more safe. Like they definitely had the safety committee more involved this year, and all of those briefs were done that way. So I kind of gave like a pass on that front, but then I found myself missing the peak intensity, like put the end of the ladder super heavy where people are trying to literally hit PRs on the floor, because that's kind of what made the games in the past, was the fact that it was like almost unreasonably hard.
I didn't get to watch all of the women's heats of that workout, but I think there was only one male who missed a clean in that workout. And I think it was Adler. Was it? I think it was Jeff Adler who ended up missing his final clean at 3:15.
It's Jeffrey.
Or 3:05. Jeffrey, that's right.
A lot of the women didn't even get to the last barbell because of the pegboard.
Because of the pegboard. So maybe it could have been more balanced. I don't think
people are going to miss a 205 clean.
No, not at that field.
Yeah, well, I also would have never assumed that Jeffrey Adler was going to miss a 305 clean. But no, I agree that I think in years past that would have been like 335.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right off the gate, that's kind of interesting, because it's almost like a can't have your cake and eat it too kind of vibe going on right now, because you're saying you wish that there had been more surprises and that maybe it was too safe. And then, so what do we want?
I don't want to say too safe. I feel like that's not the position that I want to take. I think the fact that there were no athletes that had to pull out as a result of the programming and everyone stayed healthy. Healthy, maybe stayed joint healthy. That's a positive thing. I don't think that that's a negative thing. I think that is how our sport should operate. Like, you shouldn't be creating programming that intentionally, leads to 4 of the 30 athletes.
Let's not say
pulling
intentionally.
out. Okay. Well,
I also think it was only
No one's intentionally writing a workout to make 4 athletes injured.
It was the 3 days makes a big difference.
Yeah, 3 versus 4 or 5.
100%.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it also used to be day 1, day off, 3 days back to back.
Yeah. But also just the volume of the workouts. Like, I remember I think it's 17.5, the thruster double under workout, and that they did extra heavy was just like one of the workouts. Mary was one of the workouts. Like, Murph was one of the workouts. Chad last year was one of the workouts. So you're talking about thousands of muscle contractions over the course of the weekend with maxes, with loads picked that are heavier. That's not, and like, this is definitely not going to be a safety podcast from my perspective, but that is not part of the sport that I thought ever needed to get like remediated and pulled down necessarily. I think I'm actually okay with the games being a test that pushes people's limits.
Sure.
I think there were other safety aspects of it, but I think that was the consequence of when I looked at the program. I was just like, oh, this is like kind of like a normal competition. Like, it was definitely hard and they definitely pushed and all that stuff, but that was where I found myself feeling like, oh, this doesn't feel like the games the way that I would normally think of the games.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Maybe less of a war of attrition and more of like a showcase
Of the athletes.
Athletes,
Yeah.
which, I mean, there's something to be said that
Yeah,
might
I was going
be
to say,
okay.
Yeah.
Now that you saw it play out, is that better, worse, or indifferent?
I think from my perspective, like I said, I think it's okay. I think that showcasing the athletes once they get to that level is something that can be done. It doesn't always have to be a war of attrition, but also, there's something to be said for what they used to do.
Yeah. I thought that I'm still conflicted about all of the stuff that has gone on in our whole industry, but I found myself like, wow, this was a really good show, like with definitely limited resources, whatever. Like, it was very well organized into races and the leaderboard was shifting up and down, and Castro has showmanship, and they had the YouTube channel rolling with the workouts and how they evolved. So I thought that was like really good, and I think there's a lot of stuff to lean into there. Now, who's ever in charge of the sport moving forward, whether it's like just WFP and the other competitions and CrossFit by itself, or if there's like a collective group, I think there needs to be some sort of cohesion as to like, well, what do we want from this test, and how does this fit into the broad context of the sport? Because the athletes can't survive off of just the games, even if the games maybe is most important to them. So it might have to be like this if they're going to compete.
You mean financially?
Financially.
Yeah,
financially.
Especially with the prize, the way
Yeah.
the prize
Yeah.
money changed. Actually,
But when you say that, like, the athletes can't survive just off that, like, why is that relevant?
Well, it's relevant because if you make the testing super aggressive to the point where some people have to pull out and it makes them so sore, like they might have to take a month to recover from that test, and then they can't earn a living to be an athlete in the off season.
I guess my devil's advocate to that would be like, but who said that you were going to make money? It's
Yeah.
like you get into things and you either do them or you don't. Like, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, for sure. It's just if you kind of need the money and professional side of it for building the sport. I think you need people that can be stars and can, be doing this full time and stuff. So I think there's a balance to it. Like, I think it's the same thing. Like the test, that was me like not picking on the test because I understand the context of what's happening. What were you going to say though?
I was going to say there are people making money though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at the top.
Yeah, but is
Yeah.
it like, I mean, like right now I've been getting back into watching lots of skateboarding videos, and it's the same thing in that industry. It's like you're going to have the people at the top and then everybody else is just struggling. It's like, how much do you love skateboarding?
Yeah, yeah. And that's fine too. It's just there's a competing entity now, I think, that puts pressure on CrossFit's model right now.
yeah, and financial pressure because they do pay the athletes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think there's something to it. I also think, CrossFit really did change their payout structure. I showed you,
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this as well, but if you look at 2024 payout structure versus 2025 payout structure, there was a huge difference in just how the money was distributed from first through 20th place. And just as an example, like first, Obviously, this year was paid out a ton, and it was
a small drop.
It was a small drop
Yeah.
from 2024. But for second place, last year was 125,000 for second place, and this year was 67,000. Or it might have actually been even less than
was
that.
like
I think it was a
$57,000.
$67,000 drop down
it's
to
like 50 something.
to 50 and change. And then if you go all the way down to like 20th place, this year 20th place was like $2,500 versus last year I think was $8,000.
Yeah.
And so if you think about that, the 20th fittest man and woman on earth just got a $5,000 pay cut essentially from that. And
I mean, it kind of needed to probably step back.
Yeah.
And I think like his point, it makes a lot of sense because I feel like, you know, back in 2010, 11, 12, the prize purse wasn't big, but people were just as motivated to do it. But the problem is if you don't have the financial resources to support full-time training, your athletes are just going to be less impressive because that's part of like everyone in 2010 or 11 was kind of like doing it as a side hobby. Now, almost everybody at the top is doing it as like the main thing. So I think that's part to account for why there's a big gap in fitness. So I think the money side of it is kind of important if we want to see the spectacle keep growing.
Yeah, I don't know if you could force that. It's like, you know, we got Lydia. Where did she end up?
13th.
13th. She's working 8-hour shifts or whatever. It's like,
Yes, but
this is just where we're at.
Yes, yeah.
But it also takes away from her ability to train and recover and her resources and all of that. So it's a difficult balance. Like I don't think the same thing's going to work for everyone, but I think the sport has evolved to the point where we can compare to back in the day, 2007 through 2014, and say, yeah, you could still get your weekend warrior who just takes class, making it to the games and popping off, but that's just not going to happen anymore. Like it's become professionalized, and also to make it to the top, you have to be so much better than you did back then. Like the jump there is just not even close to the same. So if you don't have the resources and the time and the ability to travel, I mean, I always think about everyone who it's an American sport, but like everyone has to travel overseas. Like if you're coming from Australia, how much money do you have to spend to get here a month earlier, potentially find a camp, lodging, food, if you had a job, taking off work? Like it's just an astronomical ask. And so money has to be a part of it, because unless you're just going to wash all your savings and make nothing for the love of it, like that would be very admirable, but that is in no way sustainable for anyone.
You know, this was a conversation that I had with Toby afterward, because I was like, you know, now that you've done this and you've gotten your first experience, you know, are you motivated to come back and do the game season next year? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe I consider doing like a different circuit, because I can actually make money. And he's like, I spent so much money traveling here, living here, food, expenses, not being able to work, not being able to coach classes. And I'm going to come away with nothing. You know, if you're in the bottom 10, you end up coming away with nothing. So I think that is a legit concern. You know, like if the money isn't there for athletes in the sport and they don't see a path forward, then the CrossFit Games is going to lose those athletes. And that's essentially just like burning away your reserve pool, the next generation that's coming in.
I don't know if it matters for them though. Like
for CrossFit.
Yeah. Cause like there will be people that just keep coming up for the love of the game.
Sure.
They just might not be as physically.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Like at what point should they even be concerned with that?
Yeah, maybe not.
Because
if
I was them, I probably would not be concerned with that.
I mean, I think they kind of have to be concerned with it because, like, they still have to play that game. You know,
I think they would probably agree. Like, it would be nice, but I feel like at what point when you're running a company and doing your thing, are you like, all right, we got to figure out how to get these athletes paid?
Yeah, it's not definitely not going to be their priority,
no.
Unless they got to hire them. Like, unless
I think they would agree with your point. Like, hey, if we could get them paid, we'd probably have higher level. But like,
I think the pressure's on for them now that there are competing entities and there are circuits that people can do. I'm not even talking about WFP. I mean, this, you know, talking about Toby, he can go and do exactly. Yeah. There's enough things that they can do outside of CrossFit that it will start to be a drain on CrossFit. And you know, I think about this too, the top level prize purse at CrossFit, if it continues to erode the way that it has. So like your incentive for second place, WFP pays more than second place. Rogue pays way more to second place than this. And so I think people are going to start looking at it and be like, is it worth my time investment to go through open, online semis or a semifinal, to go through all of these hoops to get here, versus I can just kind of bank on the fact that I'm already qualified for Rogue. So I think they may undermine themselves if they don't take this into consideration.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't care.
Or it's just like, I'm an athlete and I want to do the CrossFit Games. Like,
there are probably
there's
people
nothing
that
wrong
like
with that. But if that's what happens, then the CrossFit Games is no longer the fittest on earth, because the fittest on earth don't go to the CrossFit Games anymore.
But I mean, a lot of the people that competed that are definitely huge advocates of the CrossFit Games are also competing at other places. They're all at other competitions or on the WFP roster or at, just other competitions in general. So anyways, I don't think that was the point of the reflections. But it kind of is. It's kind of relevant if you're looking at the competition and comparing it. My gut tells me that there was a big tactical error removing the masters and the age group and the shrinking the team size of the event feel itself. I think that was one of the magic. If you go back to when it was at Carson or you go to where it was at Madison, you had huge communities of people coming out to support their squad. And I just didn't feel that as much this year. It just felt a little bit more okay, is this the direction that we just focus on a very small part of the tip of the spear versus the whole community of elites?
The one thing I will say to that, though, is as an age group athlete who has also coached numerous age group athletes over the years, it's a net win for the age group community.
Because you get a competition that's just purely focused on you.
Age group. I coached in Madison all those years that it was in the chicken barn, and you got the chicken feathers flying by. It smells like chicken shit, and they've got 40 athletes lined up going down the floor. You can't follow any of it. I just think for the age groupers, this is a massive. The current format is a massive win versus the combined.
I don't know if everybody agrees with that, though.
I'm sure they don't, but the people that I think are competing in it tend to agree.
Yeah. I think it just depends. I think there's still a massive benefit to competing at the CrossFit Games with all of the athletes, all of the best athletes in the world. And it's certainly a badge of honor and a different experience. In Madison, yes, they had the age group pavilion, but they also got some events in North Park and in the Coliseum. And I think those were very special for people, and it drastically increased the possibility that they could get some cool events that they'll never be able to do inside a normal venue.
But doing that, they also ended up having to whittle it down to 10 athletes competing versus, I don't think that's fair to the.
I agree. I think there's probably a balance somewhere in between, but I'm sure the difficult part for the games is having to make those decisions and having the infrastructure and resources to be able to support it and not lower quality, where shrinking the fields this year drastically improved quality, in my opinion, which is why I think it was so smooth.
Yeah. So, and from a experience perspective, I would honestly say this was one of my favorite games. This is my own personal bias though, but because it was smaller, the vibe of, I know we were in the meetings and you still can't ask questions. It's shut up over there. But the general sentiment was definitely just much more humble, kind. We're all in this together. We're all building it. Everything was super clear time structure wise. The heat sheets were up, very easy to understand. You knew exactly when your people were competing, and that has not been the experience in the past in the game. So for me personally, I was wow, this is way less stressful, chaotic, workout standards changing mid-workout. None of that stuff happened. So I was oh, okay, there's definitely been some positive things I'm grateful for in that transition.
With the exception of the pegboard, they had all equipment in the warm-up areas available for the athletes as well, which has not always been the case at the CrossFit Games, or maybe often not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the time it's not you can't touch the stuff.
Yeah. Which I think is potentially another reason that we saw fewer people having to pull out, because they got to do everything and be warmed up properly to go out and compete.
Yeah.
All right, so we answered one thing, programming.
20 minutes
Well, Max
later.
kind of started talking about experience, so he's just said his 2 cents. What about you guys?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I thought it was very well run, super smooth, very clear. Nothing comes to mind that of anything with the organization flow that I would be upset about. Yeah, the one thing we talked about, what water, you could only take a Yeti water bottle out there. That was a little bit annoying, but
Yes.
but yeah, those are just little things.
I think as a coach, this was by far the best viewing opportunity that we've ever had. So
That was nice.
years past at the games, there's like you're in the Coliseum and there's like a little coach's box and it's pretty high up and you can't really see, the lanes you want to see, just have a bad angle. This year, they basically just marched us onto the floor and there was just a little bit of railing. So we were where the,
Media.
HQ's media was.
No, that was all the media.
Yeah, all media.
That was all media.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to be down there and I think it brought something out of a lot of the coaches that you wouldn't normally see when we're all sitting up in the box,
Yeah, I mean, we got to literally communicate in the workout. Like I was 10 feet away from Annika when she was turning around on her handstand walk. She could see me visibly when we were helping with weight selection with the back squat. She was lunging by and it was probably only 50 feet away. I'm sure she didn't hear anything in that moment, but there were coaches that were definitely literally interacting with their competitors in the moment.
Both Alexis and Toby said they could hear me while they were out there. So I think, and I don't know if it was because the venue was quieter than it had been in the past, or if it was just the fact that we're right there. But I think that was from an experience perspective, that was a huge upgrade from years past.
Were y'all nice to the media people and you didn't block any of their shots?
I have no idea.
I let some media people go in front of me. I definitely almost headbutted somebody's, they had one of those freaking giant zoom lenses and they snuck it over here and I didn't know in my peripheral vision. I went to move and was oh shit. So I definitely am probably a blocker to a lot of people, but I tried to be.
I looked
friendly.
down there and
Perrin's
saw y'all.
not-
I was like, I hope they're letting the media people have the spots.
Yeah, you could tell that they're kind of pissed, that we're back
I'm sure
there.
they
Oh, I would have
Yeah.
been pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what could you do? Just have it on the other side? Coaches on one side, media on one side?
That whole
No, you
other
could just
side
stand
they
behind the
need
media
to use
person.
Yeah.
for other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stood back. Perrin's short, though. How
That's what
tall
I was
are you?
going to say. I
Yeah.
think they were just
Perrin
taking
gets a
pictures
pass.
over.
Did you say your experience?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it was run really well, smoothly.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into some of the stories. So, Perrin, what the hell with Lydia Fish, huh? Going like the post I put up that one night, going from wasn't supposed to be here to in
To
second place,
Yeah.
winning a heat win
Yeah.
in the final heat with all the big dogs. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the biggest highlights of her weekend. I mean, overall, she did amazing. It was kind of unreal. I don't think either of us would have expected her ending day one in second place. And I think she was 6 point out from the lead. Actually, so after the pegboard workout, I don't remember. I think I was walking out and Shane Orr goes to me. He's like, "Are you Lydia's coach?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I think she might have the leader's jersey." And I was like, "Nah." And yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. He said Tia took 12th. I think she ended up taking maybe 14th or 16th. There was, I think, Ariel Lowen. No, that was a different workout. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
But
Yeah.
if she had just done a little better in the row run, she could have had that jersey. That
For
would have
sure.
been sweet.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
That would have been.
Did it?
great.
I didn't talk to you about it that much, but did it? I feel like the games can be a real mind
Yes.
mess up because you can have your best workouts right up front, then you're in the lead, but then you got to deal with falling down the leaderboard even if you're performing well. Or Annika started way back because workout one's always the endurance thing. So the experience the whole time was we're climbing. There were definitely fallback points, but how did she deal and process with all that?
There were a lot of obstacles the whole weekend. That night, I just said, we didn't really talk about it that long. I just said, hey, listen, there's going to be a lot more tension on you tomorrow, so just expect that. We're not going to change our plans in anything we're doing. We're just going to do what we plan to do. And she was completely on board with that. I think it's impossible not to let it impact you a little bit. I mean, the likelihood that she was going to fall out of second, it was very, very high. And I think she knew that. And that's just going to be hard. But yeah, she had a lot of battles the whole weekend. I mean, she was definitely fighting some illness that started like Thursday. And she just slowly kind of just lost juice. And there was a lot of, I was running to the pharmacy and reading the WADA list, like just making sure we weren't getting anything we couldn't have.
Stealing my Ricolas.
You can't, yeah, I actually, we talked to one of the doctors at CrossFit, just like, hey, what can we take? And there's not a lot.
Yeah.
So it was like ibuprofen, Tylenol, nasal rinses, and cough drops. But that was honestly the biggest challenge for her. I think she handled herself
What
extremely
did she
well.
have? What was wrong with her?
She was just sick. I don't know exactly
Throat.
what she
Didn't
had.
clean the
Chest.
fishbowl, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, just like her throat was super sore and very swollen. Her lymph nodes were swollen. They checked her for strep. She didn't have that. Just could not breathe out of her nose because she was so congested. So like the deadlift handstand walk workout was brutal because like everything was, you're just upside down for so long. And it was just I mean, she did phenomenal. I think walking away from the weekend, like we haven't had a debrief yet because I want her to just chill. I think there was just a lot of frustration because she never felt like she gave her best, not even from the beginning.
Was it more so that she doesn't feel like she gave her best or wasn't able to because she was sick? Because those are two very different
I think
things.
more so the latter, but I think there were also moments that it was just hard to hang on, you know. But yeah, I feel like she absolutely did.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and even the scenarios, like, I think it's very hard to go out and do workouts that you know are just going to suck and trust that you have the ability to get through it when you feel like shit. And she did that, and it almost like backfired because she just didn't have the juice, you know. So some of those sprinty ones,
The back-to-back workouts
that
on
was
Saturday.
really hard. Yeah, she was like cooked. She was like, after 10 seconds, I was dead. And I was like, oh, that's rough.
When you're sick, you're definitely not getting as much oxygen as you would normally, especially with like a respiratory thing. And
Yeah.
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 It was
Am I
going around.
Am I crazy? It seemed like every time Lydia came out on the floor, she got one of the biggest pops.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
awesome.
No, I mean,
She's the
there
dark
were
horse.
Yeah, so many highlights, and I think even just going through the experience of that type of challenge is going to be really beneficial for her in the future. But you know, there's only so much you can do, and she was definitely not the only one that was fighting something, whether it be illness. I know there were other people that were sick. I was also a little bit under the weather.
I got a fun sick story I can end this podcast with. Remind me.
Oh yeah.
I got a little something too.
Yeah.
That's why I had the Ricolas to give to you.
Yeah, I know. So it was just hard. And so the lows were just really low. I mean, there were just some really tough events that, no, not saying she would have been at the top, but just I don't think were where she wanted to be. They weren't. So she felt
You wouldn't
like she
have noticed that though. Like I never looked
Yeah,
like until
she-
you texted me on Saturday saying she was sick.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
She did a great job of honestly hiding it, and that also was very draining. You know, you don't want to talk about it. One, you don't want to make something in your
make an
head bigger,
excuse, too.
bigger than it is. But there's also the reality of like pretending you're fine and you're absolutely not fine, I think is also just draining on a person. And just, you know, she's a rookie. Not everybody knows her. You don't want to be perceived as someone making excuses like, oh, I didn't do well, I did sick. And that was, it becomes a little bit of anxiety. But you know, I think she handled it well. There were definitely some just difficult finishes, but also like some amazing moments. And
Well, let's talk about that. You got the fish hat right there.
yeah, so I'm walking. She just finished her warm up, and they're all lining up. So I'm walking to get my spot on the run row course, and I'm like walking towards the turnaround point, and I was like, "What is all this orange stuff?" And I was like, "Oh my." Are those fish hats? And I'm like, who is that? And it's her whole family. So I guess her dad, nobody knew about it, not even the family. Her dad bought these and surprised everybody. And they put it on, and I actually have a video of like walking up to them for the first time with it. And it was awesome. And yeah, I guess Haley Adams in the crowd was like, who is that? And she's like, it's my family.
So when I bumped into them at the row run, I walked up to her dad. I was like, yo, where'd you get those? He was like, and he looked at me dead in the eyes and just goes, got them right before the tariffs hit.
That's amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, these were they were a hit all weekend. And then, all right, another funny story. So she walked out on the floor for the back squat with this, and there were some photos from that were very memorable. But so right before she goes out, athlete control is like on the phone. They like stopped her. They're like, we can't let you out yet. We have to make sure this is okay. So they were calling somebody who I guess makes the calls to approve things. And she had been apparently just running around really busy with things. And so someone calls up like, hey, can Lydia Fish wear a Fish family hat? And she's like, Fish family hat? Like, what do you mean? Like a hat that just says fish on it? And they're like, yeah. Had no idea. So they let her on with it. Like 3 hours later, someone shows her a picture of Lydia in the hat, and she was like, oh my God, that is not what I thought. She thought it would be like a normal hat and just say fish on it. And so basically like had she known it was this, they would have not have let her on the floor. But obviously it turned out to be a cool moment, but I guess they have some rules with what you can do, and they don't want it to be a spectacle.
Is that a performance enhancing hat?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Definitely.
Yes, for sure.
But no, it was just really cool to see them all weekend. They stood out in the crowd, and her family are just the best cheering squad of all
They're
time.
so hype.
So much fun. Yeah. Bring a lot of
They're
fun
the
and
new
energy.
sea of green.
Yeah, except orange. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was an awesome highlight. So, and if anybody, she signed a bunch of them. So if anybody wants a fish hat from the games, just
how about we do one?
Up.
Can we give that one away?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
How about leave a comment below and we'll do a comment randomizer thing and pick a winner.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect.
There we go. I'm gonna go leave my own comment. I want
Yeah.
that damn hat. Yeah. Can I get one of those damn hats?
Yeah. But I mean, man, like she should be so proud of herself. Like, okay, so she finished 13th. Heat win, second place after the first day, and just even with not feeling her best, still going out there and performing, I think that will give her more confidence and motivation going forward than anything else. But she is fired up. Like she's like, I'm ready for next year, kind of just
364
yeah,
days.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, so super proud of her.
All right,
too.
She was awesome.
let's move on to Kyle. So you had Toby and Lex this year.
Yep.
What was the big highlights or downlights for you?
Downlights.
Okay.
Lowlights?
We'll go Toby first. So obviously this was Toby's rookie season. I think on the men's side, being a rookie is potentially more challenging. If you look at just the leaderboard, there were a whole bunch of really good rookie females this year. And on the men's side, the rookie men didn't do anywhere near as well. I don't think there were any rookies in the top heat, nowhere in the top 10.
Ty wasn't up there?
No, Ty was in like 14th or
14th,
13th or something like that. So that was the highest, I think, finishing male rookie was 14th, so almost bottom half of the field.
Shout out to his dad, by the way. I sat next to him a couple times, and he's a cool dude. He listens to the pod.
Nice.
I actually
dad?
got to meet a lot of the rookies because that was the heat that I was around the entire time, and like almost the entire heat with the exception of Yanni Koski, were maybe like they'd been one or two times. So it was mostly like pretty inexperienced, and then you have your 10 times vet out there. But Toby went out there and honestly, like he performed really well in the events that he was capable of doing well in, but he's a rookie. A year ago he couldn't even qualify for a semifinal, and now he's standing on the games floor. And he went out and had some events that he finished in the top 15. And so it was like he basically had your quintessential rookie CrossFit Games season. And we have had a debrief. We've had some conversations, and he basically was just saying, kind of similar to what you were saying. He was really proud of his effort, but he looks at the result and he's like, I have a lot of work to do, and I'm so hungry to do the work. Like there's just so much, he has so much potential. He's been able to close such a huge gap in the span of a year. And the things that he struggled with out there, the gaps are not that big.
Yeah.
And I think he's really motivated by seeing that it's like little tiny changes would result in big moves on the leaderboard. And that's the game that they're playing now at this level. And I think he recognizes that. The other thing that's great about Toby, he's super stoic. And so as he's coming away from the weekend, you know, he's not like, I don't think he's like super, emotional, like in a negative way about finishing 27th. I think he's actually pretty fired up looking at like, all right, this is what I was able to do in a year. Imagine what I'll be able to do in, a year and a half, in 2 years, in 3 years. So he's looking at it like, I'm ready to continue to dig into the sport and be a competitor.
So if you listen to our podcast with Toby, you learn that he's a type 1 diabetic. Did that come up at all?
You know what? He managed it so well throughout the weekend that I don't think he ever went out on the floor to compete low blood sugar or, having any potential issues. We basically had a flow. So they would transition us to that bottom, warm-up area, the kind of basement warm-up area. And he would check his blood sugar then, do anything he needed to do to manage it. And then as soon as he came off the floor, he was back to slamming, just like everybody was doing, but back to slamming carbs. And he did such a good job managing it this weekend that it was almost like entirely a non-issue. Now I say that, and there's a whole nother layer of like cognitive work that he has to do to compete that nobody else has to do. Like everyone else is like, I get done with the event, I just slam carbs and my body's going to absorb really absorb that because it's hungry for the carbs. He has to control that, like consciously remember to like, okay, I got to test. Okay, how many units of insulin do I need to give myself? How many carbs did I just have? So he has to do all this cognitive work that nobody else does. So when I say it didn't play a factor, I mean, it didn't play a factor in his like performance. He never had like a performance issue because of it, but it also obviously is going to just be extra cognitive load that other athletes just don't have to deal with. But he's going to have to deal with that throughout his entire carear. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And what about Lex?
All right. So Alexis coming into the weekend, this was definitely not her best, last 4 weeks of preparation coming into the CrossFit Games that she's ever had by a good chunk. About 4 weeks before the games, she was doing crossover. They had just released the crossovers, and she was doing crossover double unders and felt, this extremely sharp pain in her back. It was spinal, which had been our running joke for the whole weekend. And she wasn't entirely sure what had happened, but basically like, I can't walk kind of deal, which you've been there.
I have been
I don't
there.
know if you've ever,
Yes.
And so I mean, immediately it's like, it's fear. Like, I'm not going to be able to compete. And so we had lots of conversations, and we were, she ended up getting an MRI. Turns out it was disc irritation, not a full herniation. So like, she was in a position where it was going to be painful, and she was going to be competing potentially with some pain, but there was nothing structurally wrong that was going to prevent her from competing for the weekend. So we made the decision, we're going to do the best we can to prepare. You're going to be really sore. You're definitely not going to be competing at 100% capacity. You're not going to feel the way that you expect to feel or have felt in the past competing in events, but you're going to be able to go out there and you're going to be able to do everything. You're going to be able to participate, and you're still going to learn from the experience. And man, she, I will say, worked so hard in the last 4 weeks on the mental side of the game to be able to get herself to be in a place where she was confident enough just to even go out onto the floor. And in all honesty, like the Friday before the CrossFit Games, she was still in kind of like two minds. Like, I don't know if I can compete. Like, my back still hurts. And then, like, we watched this with Noah years ago. I remember it was Cedric before he went to French Throwdown in 2019. It's like they're in so much pain and they can barely walk. And then all of a sudden, each day that you get closer to the competition, it gets a little better, a little better, a little better. And by the time she walked on to the floor to do the run, she basically had zero back pain. Like,
I feel like she did that one time back in the day on an open workout. Like, she tweaked her back 2 weeks out and then came back and took like fourth in the
dumbbell
world.
snatch,
Yeah.
box jump.
2021 maybe?
Yeah. I remember that.
So there was going into, I think this is kind of how her weekend went from a coach's perspective. Event 1 running was one of the things that caused the most pain before. It was the bounding and, the impact of running. So there was a lot of fear going into running. And we did our first run in 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, on the Monday before. And it was like 2 minutes on, 1 minute walk intervals. When we did, I don't know, maybe 10 rounds of that. So it really wasn't even that much.
Sounds like my intervals.
I was running with her. So. And then we did another run on Wednesday. That was more total running, but still not anything crazy. It was like 5 minutes easy, 5 minutes moderate. We did some strides, and then she rode and then did one more 5 minute easy run. That was the extent of her running prep for event 1. And so walking out there, she's still very much like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to run. Like I might get halfway through this, I might step in a crack or step in a hole, and I'm out for the rest of the weekend. So there was a ton of fear around the event. And we had really conservative paces, and she just got drug right into the race as
a competitor will do.
And I think her first 2 miles, like we had originally been like, yeah, we're going to be real conservative, run like 7:20, 7:30 pace. She ran 6:50, 6:52 for the first 2 miles. And she was like, yeah, I got done. I felt great. My back felt great. So we had that was a big fear going into the weekend, checked off. Then the next big fear were the crossover double unders, which she literally hadn't been able to do in 4 weeks. She hadn't done a single crossover double under. They were announced. She did them once. That's what caused the initial trauma. Hadn't done them again. So she's walking out on the floor to do a movement she hurt her back doing and hasn't done them. And so she went out there and we checked another one of the fearful movements off. The pegboard workout clean. She was comfortable. She'd done front squats. We'd pulled from the floor at that point, and she was pretty comfortable doing that. But there was still a little bit of fear with the last clean. I know we were joking that no one was going to miss that, but she was in the mind that she might be someone who could miss that 205 clean because she hadn't done a clean in 4 weeks. Handled that, checked another one off. Then obviously the one that was the most frightening was the deadlift run workout because it was combining running and deadlift, the two things that had been the biggest issue for her. And we had this super conservative strategy. She was going to go out and do 3s across on the deadlift. And, every time she would pick up the bar and warm up, she would extra brace and be,
tight,
tight and way more tension than probably was necessary for the lift. And then she went out there in the first round, she did 3s. The next round she did 4s. The next round she just started doing 6s. And I was like, all right, we're fine. After this event, our conversation is, you're fine. You're 100% good to compete, and let's go out there and do it. And once she,
but that was Sunday morning, right?
Saturday morning.
Oh, Saturday morning.
Event 4. And so then she had the back squat. The back squat was what it was. When you can't do any strength training for 4 weeks, you lose a little bit. And she had come into this really strong, but 4 weeks will do that to you. And then after that, she was just confident. Our conversation was, now you can go do, you're free to go do what you're capable of doing. And if you watch the last few events, I almost think she looks like a different person out there because the fear was gone.
Yeah.
So
I think it was on Saturday night, Lauren Khalil posted her interview with her, and watching that, I was just so proud of her because it was you could tell she was fighting back, wanting to cry the whole time, telling her story of the back and all that. And to see that she, with the injury, still made top 10. Who is this woman?
That's kind of the takeaway that we had, the conversation we had afterward. She was like, man, I'm at about 80% of my capacity. I came in, I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to compete the Friday before. So 1 week before the competition started. And here I am taking a top 10.
Did she have any gut stuff going on this weekend?
No, none.
Son of a bitch.
We've
so
been
you're
working,
telling me if she didn't have the back thing, this could have been her first games where it was healthy Lex?
Yep. That's something that we've been working on really hard for the last 3 months. That's been almost a primary focus. It's a conversation every single day. It's how's that going? So that's something that she's really started to dial in how she's managing it. And I think that I don't want to say it's going to be a thing of the past because, knock on wood, but I think it's something she's finally figuring out how to manage well.
Well, that's crazy. Well, like I said, crazy she made top 10. I was not expecting that. Max, what about anything else on Lex, or was that about it?
No, I think I'm super proud of her. I mean, to go from a week ago, like, I really don't know if I should do this, to taking a top 10 at the CrossFit Games is just incredible.
I'm just ready to see her do one completely healthy.
Yes.
You know, you might only ever get one of those in your career. So let's make sure we time it at the right time.
Yeah. What about Annika?
Yeah, Annika, my weekend was pretty great, I feel like, in terms of I don't think I went in with like super high expectations, or she went in with super high expectations. It was more like, let's go in, take it one workout at a time. She had like a mantra in almost all the workouts, which I don't know where it came from, but like one movement at a time. Like she would just do the work in one segment, move to the next segment. And I think everything that we knew was kind of an issue from a weakness perspective kind of got like affirmed or validated. Like, okay, we know we still need to work on it, but in those experiences, I think there were a lot of positive takeaways. Like she PR'd her 5K. I need to get the exact time, but I think her first 4 mile running pace means she actually PR'd her 5K in the middle of that workout. She ran the race pretty well. She got cramps down the back half and stayed in the race. So she ended the first workout, I think, taken third to last. I think it was like 27th, but with a positive mindset. And that was like, oh shit, like, you know, we're growing as a team, like and like emotions are improving and emotional regulation is improving. And then kind of from there, it wasn't like a straight climb, because we definitely had setbacks. Like the handstand push-up workout, for example, I thought could potentially be a strength, but maybe got exposed in my programming. Like we didn't do enough of it, or, you know, we only did them from a normal deficit or from no deficit and not enough from a deficit. So that was kind of like a surprise bad workout on Sunday morning, which was tough. And I feel like also, like from my perspective, felt like an area maybe I let her down, which was tough. But then she bounced back and like hammered a workout she didn't expect to hammer, and then running Isabel with perfect pacing. And then she won her heat in the last workout and got this huge crowd roar. So it like all trended into just ending as a really good experience. So like, even though like you had talked about, Lydia took 13th, awesome rookie experience, but the emotional experience of like getting to second and then, you know, getting sick and falling, like kind of makes it hard to end on that high note. But we got to like end on a really nice experience. And I think we just learned a lot. Like I was super proud of her. She operated almost like a veteran in the competition, even though it was her rookie experience. I learned a lot. It was the first time I went to the CrossFit Games and was like, I didn't really pay attention to the guys race at all. Like I did as more of a fan, but I couldn't tell you who was in 8th or 10th or where the points gaps were, any of that stuff. So I kind of just got to like hyper focus on her and the women's race. And I think we just ended like, oh wow, we've come a long way and there's still a lot of like positive development to go.
How was that, being able to just focus on one athlete?
For me, it was
as a
great.
coach.
Yeah, I loved it. I don't think I realized how stressful and hard it was in the past. Like what you have to do with both toe, and it's easier if you have them both in like the male division, because then you're just there with the heats, but it's still hard because you like get pulled out into one heat, come back, go out in the next heat. Then you got somebody who just won a workout who you're celebrating with, and somebody else that just got
crying.
smashed. yeah. But for me, being able to just singularly focus was like, oh wow, like I could just like, if something's going wrong, I can just deal with this one thing. When she's done, I can go back. So I liked it a lot. I think it would be very hard to manage multiple people again.
It was.
Yes. Yes. And I might not get it again at another competition, but it was definitely a really nice experience. And I got to like spend time with her family and kind of get more into her inner circle, which is helpful as a coach, because you got to kind of understand who she's going to be able to lean on for different aspects of, you know, what's going on in a competition. If she's ramped up and needs to calm down, or if she's, you know, frustrated, you know, as a coach, you can't really wear all those hats. So knowing like, okay, you know, this is how her mom is going to be in high pressure situations. This is how her dad is going to be. That was a really just it was just a good weekend for me. Like my experience was definitely much more positive, like I said earlier.
How much more do you think she had in the tank on that 1RM back squat? Because she hit 355, right?
She hit 355 easy.
Yeah.
And this is the day, I'm going to actually talk to her about this when we debrief, but there are certain people, Noah, basically her primary like training partner down there being one of them, that they just operate differently in a high noise, crowd, people situation than when they do in training. So the back squat came out, and, you know, based on Annika's athletic profile, we do not train strength, like literally at all. It's been in maintenance mode since I've coached her for the last 3 years because her run gap was so wide. So we focus so much time on all the machines, all the running. And I'm super proud of how far she's come there, but it still needs to be the priority. So she was like, oh, back squat comes out. Like, I think I can win this, but I like haven't back squatted heavy. Like, what could I do? So she tested the workout and she failed 360 in training. She had 345 easy and then missed 360. And then that was in her head in the competition. She's like, I don't have confidence to really do it. Cause I asked her, I was like, hey, you know, they just hit
355 was the top going in.
355 Jen Muir hit. And I said, hey, your jumps right now are 325, 345, and then TBD based on how it moves. Maybe you should be a little bit more aggressive and go 335, 355, because I was watching her move the bar in the back and I was like, this is moving real easy. Yeah. But she just like, and then one of her warm-up sets, she kind of like got buckled back a little bit. So she wasn't super confident. So we locked eyes after she hit her 345, and I told her to hit 355. And every instinct in my body was like 360, 380. Like, do I take the win? But I was trying to be smart, conservative, and she thought that was the right move. But then she came off the floor. She's like, I could have hit 370 today. Like, I think if she had the opportunity to hit another one, I think it was there.
It's crazy with all of that fatigue that they had built up. I mean, Toby was very similar. He's very similar athlete to Annika in that regard, where basically strength is like the lowest priority for him. He hasn't done a back squat over, I think, 445 since we have been working together. And that was like for a heavy single in training, and he hit 485. Nice. And watching him in the back at like 445, I was like, ooh, I don't know where we're going. And then he walked out there and like ripped through his last one. The 485 was his best lift. And it was like, oh, you had 495.
I got to imagine the power of the crowd and knowing that it's one lift at a time, all eyes on you, just pulls it out of you.
Yeah. But I think that might only be, or that might be like amplified for athletes like that are like the strength athletes, that the crowd can just generate some extra momentum coming out of the bottom.
Yeah, but I think still bad. I was going to say bad squatters. They're not bad squatters, but the lowest performing squatters still sometimes hit PRs from that. Just the noise and the pressure, and like it's just pure focus in that setting. Like it's just you. You're the only person with thousands of people paying attention to you. That could like crumble people, but I think that's also the thing that elevates and brings out those just like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I think it amplifies confidence too. If you have I think if someone has doubt and they have all of that pressure looking in on them, that's where it's going to lead to failure. But if you're even this much confident that you're going to be able to hit that lift, as soon as you come out of the bottom and you start to hit that sticking point and the crowd goes, that's people pop right out.
By the way, Colton Mertens squatting 570 that blew my mind.
Easily.
Toby and I were talking about this. He was squatting more than the yoke weight. And the first time Toby went to stand up the yoke weight, he could barely stand it up. He's like, Colton squatted more than this.
And it looked pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's transition to just cool games, moments, and highlights that have nothing to do with our Well, actually, before we do that, we also had the team. Adam's sick, so he couldn't
Adam got sick too?
Yeah,
Adam was sick.
I'll tell my story now.
Yeah.
So Perrin picks me up on the morning of the row run. I had to wake up at 5:20, and then she picked me up at like 6:20. And when I woke up, the fellas will know this. If you get hit in the balls, there's like this low hum, like it hurts at first, and then you have like a residual low hum, like pain that lasts for 5 to 10 minutes, right? I woke up and my left nut had that low hum pain. And I was like, oh, maybe I slept on it or something. Hour later, when Perrin picks me up, still got it. The rest of the day, it maintained. So my whole first day, I'm filming, and then I'd run off to my phone and like be asking ChatGPT like,
WebMD.
what's up? Because the whole day I keep thinking it's gonna go away. It's gonna go away. And at one point, I like walked down to the bathroom, went into one of the stalls, and like whipped my nuts out. And was like, is there something going? Talking to ChatGPT is like, is it swollen? Is there blood vessel? So I'm like, let me go get a little inspection here. Everything looked fine, but the pain was still there. And so I have this long chat thread where I just think I'm gonna die. So the whole day goes by, and I never bumped in. Like I said, I never saw y'all all weekend, and me and Adam stayed in the same room, so I would see him. Well, I finally saw him at the end of the day when we're going to get our car home, and I was like, dude, and I told him what I just told you, like my left nut has been hurting. And Adam was like, yeah, me too. And Adam, he just jokes that kind of shit. So I was like, ha ha ha. And he was like, no, me too. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what are the odds of that? And I was like, oh, I got to put this into the ChatGPT. Me and the guy I'm staying in a hotel room with, separate beds. Yeah. Both of our left nuts hurt. And then, like, how could this be a thing? Anyway, we wake up the next day and we're both fine. But he starts getting sick. And since I'm just a fucking specimen, my immune system is so good that I never got sick.
It could have been like lymph nodes down there.
Yeah, something
or
like that. But man, there was a point midday on that day that I was going to like check my, after reading the ChatGPT, is like, you could lose your nut. I was like, I'm going to go to the ER.
Yeah.
I was
wouldn't
like
have stayed around and
people.
taken pictures.
So anyway, that was my sick story. But Adam couldn't be here because he's still sick. But he had the team, and I stayed at the same hotel as the team. They were having fun, good times. Did y'all get to watch any of them?
I didn't really get to watch any of the full events. I would see them on the broadcast, when we were warming up. But I checked in with them and talked to them actually a lot throughout the weekend, and they just had such a good attitude. Yeah. I think they ended up taking last, but they had so many wins in certain events, and very realistic goals that were also challenging for them that they met. And all of their training, their prep for the games, like watching them in here, they just worked really well together as a team, and I think they really enjoyed the experience. But it was just fun being around them. Bryn put some glitter on Max and I one day.
Yeah. Somebody at I was like, just go light on it. Like, I don't want to be super glittery. And I was standing in the media area, and Abby Domus coach Matt Bryant was sitting there, and I just could feel his eyes staring into my soul. And he was like, did you put glitter on your face this morning? And I was like, no.
She went full Kesha on your face.
Yeah. No, she went full Kesha on my face.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, so she put glitter on Lydia, on Max, on me.
I started the trend.
I didn't really think anything of it. And all day I just kept getting compliments from people, or I don't even know if I call it compliments, comments from people about, oh, wow, I really like your glitter. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Maybe my complexion, they can see it more. Because I was looking at you guys and I could barely tell.
Well, at some point, my face got itchy and I went like this by accident. And it was all over my shorts, my hands. Yeah. I was like, oh, God.
All right. Well, I went back to the hotel room. I don't remember if this is end of day or midday. And I go to the restroom and wash my hands and look in the mirror. And I was like, whoa. Because she went so hard on me, all my eyelids. Did you see it?
Yes,
yeah,
I
did. Thought, okay. So I didn't know that had happened because I had been down in the.
I'm gonna go pee. Y'all keep talking about the glitter.
Okay.
I'd been down in the warm-up dungeon. I had no idea that you guys had been glittered, but I saw you, I think, first. I was like, oh, Perrin has a lot of makeup on today. But just one of those thoughts. And then I saw Max and he had glitter on, but I still did not connect the dots until we had this conversation.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right as you're saying, I was like, oh, Perrin wasn't just wearing a shitload of makeup.
Did you think I just put glitter on my face?
No, I figured an athlete did that to you because you said something.
Yeah.
But I never ever connected the dots.
Bryn came into the back.
Oh.
Did she put it on Lydia's face prior or me? Because I remember being there and I was like, whatever, just put it on my face. And then you got peer pressured into it because you definitely weren't going to do it.
Yeah, you judged me. You're like, well, you're not a good coach if you don't have glitter on. I'm like, okay.
Put it all over. Cover me in glitter.
No, it was good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I gave a lot of people chuckles.
A good laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have. Oh, I'm glad he came back.
I
I was going to say that's the end of my glitter.
I have one other thing that I really did enjoy, and that was the fact that the three of us were together in the same heat.
Oh, yeah.
For the women for almost the entire weekend. And
Yeah.
so our athletes would be like in their little spaces doing their things, but as soon as they got corralled, the three of us would just go out there and watch them do their thing together. And it was a lot of fun.
It was. I enjoyed that. There were like so many times where like they were racing, which kind of bothered me. And I was like, why can't it be somebody else that they're racing right now?
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it was,
all
I don't know. It's a good experience when you can genuinely like the winning or success of somebody else. I feel like that maybe I've gotten a little just bit more community competitive, like within people that I'm in proximity with, whereas in the past I might have been a little bit more like, oh, I want her to do better. But I didn't have any of that this year. I was just like happy to watch people go and crush it.
The way that I see it is if anybody is going to beat my athlete, I want it to be the people that I like. And so if someone's going to beat them, they might as well be in a race for 1, 2, 3 if they're in that heat, because I'd rather watch that.
And I think, I don't know if it broke her, but she was with Alexis in the deadlift workout that you were talking about, and Alexis started really conservative, which meant that Annika could keep up in the beginning, and then it just started getting like, oh, Alexis is going faster.
Each round a little further back. And Alexis, her pace in that workout was
definitely
crazy at the
picked up.
end. It was like I think she realized in the middle of that workout, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it went like,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a thought after the event was over. On Sunday night, I went and got some food and was just walking back to the hotel. And I stayed at the Staybridge Suites, which is where I almost only exclusively stay at the games.
Shout out Staybridge Suites.
Did you stay there too?
No, but I'm just like, man, they're getting a big plug.
But I was just very grateful to go through all this with you guys, and like realizing I've never not been able to go through the games with multiple coaches and teams and masters and media and our whole crew at TTT. And I think actually maybe I said this last year, because last year got very sad and dark. And I remember looking around in the warm-up area and seeing some like coaches and athletes, and it's just them. Like they're going through it all together. They're the only ones back there. And I'm sure probably at times that feels very lonely, but we are very fortunate. I am very fortunate to have, I mean, also Lydia's family is amazing, and their crew, and they were staying in the same hotel. But like, those are little things that can really change your entire experience, regardless of what's going on with the competition. Just enjoying the whole process. And it's a very long lead up too. Like they had to check in on Tuesday. We got there Monday, and it just felt like forever to kind of get to the starting line. And it just helps having those interactions with people you're friends with and familiar with, and then just going through things together, even if we are competing against each other. But I did also want to point out, I also had Mike Needleman on CrossFit Undivided. And I've been helping that team out the entire season. Went up there for online semis. They crushed it. And then had a few other training sessions locally. They did locally leading up, but picked up some injuries right before the games. Griffin hurt his adductor, which really limited him in his preparation for especially
really
like
his
the
back
running.
squat.
Yeah, exactly. No.
What did he hit?
No, he hit 570, like pretty easily. But they won that event, which was absolutely awesome. Mike PR'd his back squat at 470, which was awesome to see. But they had a very up and down weekend. I think it's just challenging when you're not coming into a competition prepared, or one person or a few people aren't. But that's just kind of how team is. And like even Antonia, remember Antonia from
their
with
team
the
got
Walleye
sick.
team? They got sick.
Yeah.
And I had seen them in the gym a few days prior too, and they were super stoked. But like, you know, they came all this way. I think she's from Sweden. I don't know if that whole team's from Sweden, but kind of going back to that conversation, it's a lot of sacrifice for people to do this, especially teams who really don't get any spotlight. And their season was a little weird this year. And I think it's just very hard sometimes to not be able to kind of show what you're capable of. But honestly, like Mike is just a dog, and he sold out all weekend as much as he could to help out his team. And so I'm just super proud of him. And he's just an awesome guy. And that whole team, like, so that whole team both the girls, both Christines, are going to the games as masters. Griffin's 33, Mike's, I think, maybe 27. So I don't know what their net age is, but it's definitely on the older side. And they all have their CrossFit level 2s. I think they're the only team that all have their CrossFit level 2s, and they all actively coach. And it's just a really good group of people, and it was awesome to work with them. I think, so Justin Kotler kind of helped navigate them this weekend since I was with Lydia. So I didn't get to see their events outside of the broadcast as much, but yeah, I just think they're awesome people.
Speaking of teams, shout out to Lee Sharam and Evan Rogers.
Oh yeah,
They followed our online program for years. I think this year
took third.
Their girls, they were on the podium.
Yeah,
I think their girls were Mayhem, so they were representing Mayhem this week. But they've been with us for forever, and they freaking crushed.
Yeah, they absolutely crushed it. Yeah, I had some conversation with Lee throughout the weekend, who is just the most chill person you'll ever meet. And
that's a fit group of boys.
Super fit, and Lee and Evan are just awesome dudes. I mean, Lee's now newly a police officer. I think Evan is a firefighter. They have busy lives. Evan's got kids, and Lee just got married, and they really are the epitome of hard work, but also figuring out how to balance that with their life.
And consistent.
Super consistent.
They've been consistently hard working for years.
Yep. Yeah. So it was awesome.
I have a couple highlight moments that are, one of them I guess is related to me. So I went out, I went to my old hometown, which is 2 hours south of Albany, and I drove up. And as I was driving up, I wanted to listen to a book. So I got a book called Extraterrestrial, which is about a comet that was found that a Harvard professor is basically claiming is one of, not that it is extraterrestrial, but that it requires more investigation because it's super anomalous as a thing. So I
cannot wait to see how you bring this home.
Yeah. So I get up and I'm hanging out with Annika's family, and Annika's dad is a professor, and he knew everything about it. And then we were talking, and at the dinner after the competition, we were talking about fashion, talking about Annika's desire for clothing design and all this stuff. And I was like, man, I'm just lucky if I get dressed in the morning. I showed up to work with clothes on is a big win. And she was like, oh my God, that's what we say about my dad all the time. And she's like, you're looking into your future. And I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. That's a full circle moment of seeing this is why I feel like family in this little area. So that was one highlight. The other highlight was
I kind of want to say mine because I'm worried you're going to take it.
No,
Are you going to take mine?
No, say it.
No, go ahead.
No.
Somebody please say it.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Mine. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. Mine was watching Tia. Was it for real? Navigating.
Well, it was going to be her kid. Her kid was such a highlight. Oh my God, on the Jumbotron, and then when Shane put her down and she ran out there. You didn't see that?
I didn't see any of that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You didn't see the Jumbotron?
No.
What? That was the biggest pop of the weekend.
Yeah.
No.
I was on ESPN.
So it was right before pegboard, or I don't remember which workout.
Pegboard.
So she's in the crowd on someone's shoulders, and then they put Tia on the Jumbotron right before the 3, 2, 1 go. And then so Tia's on the Jumbotron, but then they switch to show her kid. And so her kid then sees her mom, and then she lights up oh, it's mom, and has this big, it was just a nice little heartwarming moment.
Oh, cool.
And the crowd popped yeah.
Yeah, no. I didn't see that. I was more focused on just the competition, I guess. But there were actually 2 moments where I was like, oh, this is just one of the reasons why she is so dominant. One was when the pegboard started falling apart, she just was like, all right, I'll do it legless. And I was like, wow,
dog.
That is so savage. And she still finished okay. She finished middle of the pack, basically just freaking going up.
She was not happy about it, though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But still, she just did it. And even the change in demeanor and everything, it was just so professionally done from my perspective. And the other was she was racing Lucy Campbell on the deadlift handstand walk workout, and it was a super tight race. Lucy pulled ahead, and the crowd got as loud as I've ever heard it. And then she failed a handstand walk, and I was like, oh wow, she broke a little bit. And then she ended up coming back and still taking second on it. And I was like, wow, this woman is just an extremely good competitor. She's so fit. So that was just a highlight type moment of observation where I just wanted to okay, I respect this. Like, there's nothing you could do but respect that level of goodness.
She only gave up 98 points across the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Which I think is
And
just
honestly, probably
And
most of them was
were
the pegboard workout.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. She is just so impressive. I mean, she is very intense from the start of warm up through the event, like just laser focus. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody with that level of intention. Maybe like Laura Horvath can be pretty intense too. But yeah, just amazing to watch. I don't think the sport will ever see anyone else like her. So it was awesome, even I think for Lydia to get that experience competing with her while she's still here.
How old is she? Is she a master's athlete?
No.
Is she even close to that?
I don't know. I think she might be early 30s.
I think
that's a great question.
Actually, I'm
That
not
is a
sure.
great question.
Yeah.
I've never once thought to think, how old is that lady?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Did she win her 8th this year?
8th, yeah.
8th in a row. Or no?
No, because of the
Oh,
child.
the baby.
Yeah. But yeah, 8th. And then I think
And it
she's
wasn't even
Which is
close.
even cooler.
Yeah.
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 It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Like, but I just don't. I don't see anybody beating her if she chooses to continue on, which seems like she still wants to do. But who knows?
So you brought up Lucy. That was going to be one of my highlights. Is
Lucy
just watching.
Campbell?
Yeah, watching Lucy Campbell this weekend was just so much fun. Did y'all like expect that from her? Because like.
Well, she won
I did,
Wadapalooza,
yeah.
and
She's
is
won every
really, really
competition
good.
except for WFP, I think, this whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also too, I think like her, I don't want to like speak too much about her fitness level on all things because I don't really know, but I think her athlete profile's more enduring, and this subset of tests, like even you were talking about Alexis's back stuff, I feel like from a workout construction perspective, like this was pretty good that there was just those deadlifts and that the back squat you could just regulate. It wasn't like, hey, you got to do 10 rounds for time of a 250 back squat and something else. And I think kind of like Lucy's in that same boat where she got maybe good tests, but she is really good.
She is so good.
Yeah. And awesome demeanor. There's a lot of,
yeah.
I feel like in the back this year, I was like, oh, wow, the energy feels like different. Like there were a little bit less of the super intense, I don't want to like, diva is going to sound like maybe like a derogatory thing, but that like kind of over demanding personality is a lot more just like really chill, cool people.
And that has nothing to do with women, by the way. There's a lot of male divas out there.
Yeah.
Just as many.
Yes.
Just
No,
as
that-
many.
Or more.
Well, what's crazy is I did a podcast with her, the Coffee Pod Wads debate show. It was me, Hiller versus her. So before she was beating half the field, she was beating me. But we did, like, you know, when you do those things, you talk after, like after he shuts down the show, you talk. And she was super cool. And I didn't, like, this would have been 10 months ago or something. I didn't realize she was that damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable. I mean, she coaches, I think, full-time or part-time. Very knowledgeable of the sport, and also someone who's pretty intense warming up, like very, very focused and intentional. And I had a very short conversation with her coach who I sat next to on one of the briefings, and super nice guy. And I love her story. I think like that injury that she had would probably take almost anybody out. Like
She had a wrist injury or something?
yeah, a wrist injury. I think basically, I think one of the bones or something in her hands was too long, and it was putting pressure, and I think broke something else. I'm gonna bastardize this, but yeah, I mean, she had surgery, and doctors said she would never be able to do CrossFit again, and it was a very, very long recovery. I think it's been 2 years, or I think the only time she's competed in the games was 2022. So would that be 3 years? Or
that area, I broke the last part of the thumb bone in high school, and they said if I had broken the one that's like closer into the wrist, I forget what these little ones are called in there, they said they're like some of the worst type of injuries to have, even though they're super tiny, because you get no blood flow in there. They get their ability to absorb impact is partially because of like how they're all in there, and if you break one of them, it can like just be a constant pain.
That lack of blood flow also leads to like necrotic bone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've had a handful of clients who've had those injuries, and they've never been able to come back from
It's a career-ending weightlifting injury, like anything in your hand and your wrist. I feel like
catching heavy jerks, heavy snatches.
I mean, and she still has to. She was doing the cleans, putting one arm out, all of them.
Oh, is that why she did that?
Yes, she still has to find a different way to do things right now. I mean, to my understanding from her interview in Wadapalooza, like prior to Wadapalooza, she had just started doing certain things. So it's actually insane that she has come this far. And yeah, I do think maybe some of the programming probably comes into play, but I also just think she's ridiculously good athlete and has a very good head on her shoulders and knows what she wants to accomplish, but also very humble. Like, she understands she can only control what she can control, like, and you know, it's all going to come out in the wash. So yeah, she was awesome to watch. I agree. That moment, the deadlift handstand walk race was so crazy to watch and listen to, because T is here, Lydia's here, Lucy's here, and that was a fun race. I'm actually really glad it was 15 people in that heat. Yeah. I think it made it better. I think maybe it made it harder peripherally to like know where your competitors were, because Haley was all the way on the end and she
caught back up.
So she beat Tia actually.
Yeah.
Tia came third in that one.
Oh, she did catch her at the end?
Yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing though, as a coach, is we were at the end of that lane. So, you know, even though they were having a hard time like being aware of what was going on, the athletes were, we could basically like
we could see it,
1 lane over, 3 lanes over. That worked really well with Toby, because he was in a race with oh my gosh, I'm just talking about him, a 10-year vet in the heat.
Koski.
They had a race going, and it was like, hey, go get him, and he got him. So.
That was one of the loudest moments I felt in the whole like competition.
Yeah, the final men's final was crazy.
Yeah,
very electric.
Yeah, I think that was the loudest moment.
I had left.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I only stayed in the Coliseum. I also didn't have a ticket, so I only stayed in there for the girls. Could you go back in?
Yeah, I went back around and got in.
You can go in the main door?
No.
Oh,
we kind of sneaked on to, we stayed in like the coaches area for the men's event.
Oh, you just stayed in there?
Because they had the ceremony afterwards.
Yeah.
And they let us.
The other kind of like highlight, or just like I had mentioned earlier, I didn't think the scaling weight for the pegboard squat clean thing was right, like didn't get it right. The workout that I did think was right was running Isabel, because that workout played out really well and a really cool race with a lot of drama on the last barbell. Yeah. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is really going to be relevant. And like, there was also, I mean, Hopper literally could have lost the games in that moment.
Should that have been the finale?
I think so.
Man, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been more cool of a race. It
may have even changed the outcome of that event, because then the pressure would have been on even more. And
people would have taken so many more risks.
Risks, which means that we would have seen even more fails on that last bar.
Yeah.
Some of the lead changes and place changes in that event were crazy.
Annika was in 6th in taking off for round 4, and then finished 2nd in the heat and 4th overall. And she said to me, we only did 3 rounds for time of that workout in training. She didn't do the whole thing. She like just get a feel for it. It came out pretty close to when we left, I think. So she didn't want to like test it in full, and like she had just been doing enough training that I was like, hey, I think we should kind of taper. And she said something in the back. She was like, you could very easily miss a snatch at this weight. And in my head, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You couldn't miss a snatch. But I didn't say it out loud. I was like, I just could not even fathom that would be a possibility. And then it happened to like 4 people. I was like, wow, she was right. And she was like almost squat snatching in the end of it. Like it literally played out almost perfectly.
I thought about that workout as if it was an 800-meter run. And in an 800, if you go out too fast, that last 200 or 100 meters, people are just like, they look like they're in mud. Yeah. And the people who paced right are literally sprinting by them at the finish. Yeah. And that's what I told both of them before they went out. I was like, this is an 800.
Yeah.
It's not, it looks like a speed test, and everyone warming up is like flying through the warm up area and flying on the barbell. And I'm like, that's going to be the case through 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then round 4, it's going to slow down. Round 5, people are going to be failing. And that is exactly what happened when they went out there. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment of the games, minus Tia's kid, was Olivia Kerstetter on that last workout. That was super cool to watch.
That was.
Yeah, I
crushed
didn't,
that.
I didn't see it, but
Tia-
she crushed it.
Did Tia stop to make sure that she got Kerstetter on the podium?
I didn't see the end of that. That
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
at the end, Tia had one more overhead lunge section to go. She stopped, like dropped the bar, but I mean, look at her. She
Yeah.
doesn't look, if you go back and watch it, she doesn't look messed up at all, not even like remotely. She lets Kerstetter pass her, finish, get on to the thing, then she cleans the bar real quick, lunges across, and finishes.
I would say yeah. I don't know that for sure.
Is she
but
proven?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
Definitely.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
You can manipulate that however you want if you're an athlete, but I was watching that and I was like, she doesn't look like she's messed up. And then like I was connecting the dots as the rest of the event was going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Speaking
that's what they
of
do in
her-
NASCAR, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. We watched that.
I was very impressed with, like, she finished, I think, behind Annika in the first workout with the running in it, but then she crushed the run, deadlift, handstand
Yes.
workout. And she was running hard because she was pretty close to Annika. So that was pretty interesting to watch, that people could be, like, very different in a mixed modal, short, sprinty setting versus just, like, the long, straight through running.
More Metcon running. We've been talking
Yeah.
about it since
Yeah.
WFP.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Dallin taking it all?
Jason?
He didn't win.
Oh, why did I say Dallin?
I was like, what?
It's time to wrap up, boy. I think I only got 9% on this camera. My brain's fading.
Yeah, Jason crushed it. I mean, he had I think the events were really well formatted for him. I know he trains a lot with JR over at Crash, and JR loves parallel handstand push-ups, and he loves pegboards, and like, you know, those were two. And not that those are not CrossFit, and not that,
Yeah.
but man, he definitely would be ready to go for those events. And like, there were no ring muscle ups, which I think is something for Hopper that's, you know, probably a little bit weaker. But he was great all weekend. So good, big guy, so good on the first endurance event, and then just all the way through the weekend.
Yeah, it was such a close race. I feel like there were like 7 people in contention to like be on the podium / win at the beginning of Sunday, which I thought was really cool. Like, we haven't really had a lot of cool races on the, it's been like Tia, where it's like, oh, Matt is 150 points ahead of everyone, doesn't even have to step out here. So I thought that was cool. I don't really have any connection with Hopper in a.
Did you watch Hiller's video with Hopper that he made? Like
That was a
5
while ago, though.
Yeah.
that.
Did he just repost it with a different title or something?
Oh, I don't know. He may have reposted it. I'm talking. The one I'm talking about would have been like 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, I
Or
think
3.
he reposted it and changed the title to like the 2025 CrossFit Games
Oh, that's smart.
champion. and I
That's
think
that
I've
might be
watched
my
it.
highlight for favorite video of the year. Like, that dude with his athlete pieces is just freaking. He just gets it. Just good videos. But it made me actually like really like Hopper. You should watch it.
I think I've watched some of it. I don't remember watching the whole thing. I did watch a lot, like his David Hippensteel one and the longer.
Oh, the
form
hip and
ones.
still one was good.
Yeah.
What else? What other CrossFit Games moments before this camera dies? Oh man, Perrin, you haven't said any.
I can't really think of moments, but just like takeaways. I mean, all of us had rookies.
Yeah.
And this is something I think about all the time. I don't really think there's an answer, because I also think it depends on the athlete and how much experience they have at the elite level. But, you know, how much mental training, conversations, programming, preparation can you do to prepare an athlete for the games versus how much do they just need to do it and experience it and learn from it? You know, like, what's the weight there and the conversion based on what can we take away from this and learn and grow in the future? Because as you said, like, okay, you go back and you think, did I prepare them well enough for these tests? Granted, you're preparing them for something that you don't actually know what the workouts are going to be. But I feel like a lot of the times, the majority of the stuff, it's like everything in between that. It's not that necessarily the actual workouts. It's like coming back from a crappy workout, or even trying to stay humble and focused if you have a really good moment and not letting the pressure kind of take over. But a lot of that stuff, it's like, especially for rookies, I think they just have to experience it.
You got to feel it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way to coach through it. And honestly, like me and Annika had the closest thing to a fight that we've ever had after the handstand push-up workout, because she came off and she felt wildly underprepared, which she was. Like, if you just objectively go back and look at the program, there was not a lot of it. Probably didn't even put many of them in Metcons. It was just more like skill work or sets or whatever. So there's some truth to that, but I don't think I've ever, and I've coached the CrossFit Games since 2013, so 12 years now. I don't think I've ever brought anyone to one where we didn't get exposed on something. So if you're like, okay, well, now we're going to go hard at parallel handstand push-ups and get them better, they might not even come out next year.
Yeah.
So I think learning how to process that, it's like, that was one thing that why the Tia moment stood out to me, is like, it's not that everything goes perfectly. It's just like such an intense focus on figuring it out no matter what. And yes, her preparation and fitness allows her to do that, but that mental side of it is equally as important. And people that were perennially good at the games, like the Vellners or Fikowskis, are people that have like been on the podium multiple times, and they just have such an ability to harness their focus to stay on whatever the task is and not get lost by the distraction of the frustration of unknown and unknowable, or this lane this or that lane that. And even if they do have the bad experience, they just like wipe it out of their memory and keep going.
For them, they have enough experience competing at that level to know that one event doesn't make or break a competition.
Yeah.
The only person that would, if Tia had like a truly bad event, it would break like her massive point streak. But outside of that, I think for anybody, it's like one event is just a drop in the bucket, especially in years past where it was 12 to 15 events. With 10, it's a tenth of the score, but at the same time, like it becomes you realize it's just a small piece of the entire puzzle.
Yeah. I thought one more shout out to Annika. I thought she handled that pretty well. And I'm sure she's been in enough competitive situations now that the first event, which is almost always an endurance event, kind of smashes her. But she like didn't let that negative wave impact her at all. Like, honestly, she walked away from that one probably, aside from the later workouts where she had two great workouts on Sunday afternoon and evening, I feel like the run workout was her worst finish and her best
execution.
Execution and emotional feeling afterwards. Like, it was just pure pride in how she approached things.
Well, I think sometimes that can be expectation too. Yeah. Like, her expectation was that she was going to get last. Like, we talked
that was
about
the fear.
She was like, I'm going to get last in this. And then she doesn't get last. And so success. I remember, I think she has a lot of experience climbing. Yeah. Like, the same thing happened in Dubai where they opened with two.
It's almost always the first workout. Like, you don't get the endurance workout as the finale.
And she just climbed the whole weekend. So I think she's probably very resilient to that at this point, having done that enough times throughout her career.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on. This battery is about to die.
Sweet. I got to
see you, everyone. That was
if people wanted to follow you, where could they follow you?
Training Think Tank.
And the camera died.